Okay, gang. There have been several of you who have asked about a refresher on how to FRQ. We have a full video in the files from when I very first taught this and walked through it, but I thought I'd do a very quick, very short refresher. We are using the same PowerPoint as before, but I do have a couple examples that I want to show you to kind of remind you of what things mean and how they work. So remember, when we start off with an FRQ, what you want to pay attention to is remembering this is not technical, that this is technical writing. You are not writing essays. We do not need an introductory paragraph and all of the other stuff that goes with writing an essay in English. That's not what you're doing. You are answering detailed questions in a concise manner that is as accurate as possible and reflects a college level understanding. So what that means for you is this. You need to make sure that when you first get your questions that you read all the questions. Generally, there are 3 FRQs. One you'll love, one you're okay with, and one that makes you want to curl up in a little ball and cry. Start with your favorite. Do the one you are the most confident of because that's when you're most likely to earn the most points on. And while you're working on that, your brain will work on the other stuff in the background. So by the time you get to the one that made you want to cry, there's a good chance you can probably fake your way through at least a couple points on it. Okay? Remember when you do this to annotate and associate. That means annotate the question. Underline what you're needing to do. Circle what important words there are. Make sure you brain barf. That means take every idea you have that possibly ties into what you're doing and just throw them on the paper. Okay? Use your skills. Use SPIN. If it asks you a very broad question, narrow it down. Think about what is an economic reason? What is a social reason? What is a political reason? What is an environmental reason? If it asks you something broad, what is a reason for this? What is an impact of that? That's awfully open. So narrow it down if you're having trouble thinking about it. If you can level for it, level for it. If it's a map, if it's a graph, it's a chart, look at it, take it apart, and look at all the pieces. Remember your vocabulary at all times. Make sure you're using college level appropriate vocabulary. Make sure that if there's a term you need to use, that you're using it. Finally, organize and then actually start writing. Okay. Things to remember when you're writing. Label the parts of your essay. If it says question 1, part A, B, C, D, then you need to make sure you answer it. 1, A, B, C, and D. Make sure that your parts are clearly labeled. Whenever possible, give examples, even when not asked for them. Give a quick example. One extra sentence of an example is not going to hurt you guys. And if anything, it can show additional clarifiers and that you really do know what you're talking about. Remember your geography. That's what this is all about. Use real-world examples. Pay attention to scale and region. If the test asks about something on the map, a region of the map, then talk about that region. If it leaves it open, then you are free to then change your scale. Make sure you're matching what the question is asking. Use your vocabulary. Think about this. As readers, we are not allowed to fill in anything for you. We are not allowed to assume anything. If it's not explicitly on the paper, we cannot score it, which means write like you're talking to a 5th grader. Okay, maybe not quite that low. Write like you're talking to 7th grade you. Or you when you first walk in the room the very beginning of the year. How would you explain the things you know now to you beginning of the year? Okay. If at any time you say, huh, what, how come, you haven't answered the question, fill it in the rest of the way. When you're all done, go back and reread it. Underline where you think you got things at. Remember your command verbs. This is the one that a lot of you guys are struggling with. In class, we used the Wonder Woman example, where we talked about what ice cream was. So if you're asked to identify, identify. So the statement here says, which is most likely ice cream? You would look at it and you would say, well, A is most likely ice cream. That would be your full answer. That would be the correct answer. If you just wrote A, that would not be enough. Make sure it's clear what you're identifying and how it matches. Okay? When you're asked to define something, make sure you're defining it in your words and you're giving it meaning. And often it does not hurt to give an example. So if I were to hold up, let's see if I've got one, a mechanical pencil. Well, what is this? This is a mechanical pencil. Define pencil. Well, pencil is a writing implement that uses lead, often used in schools, particularly in math classes. I've told you what it is. It's a writing utensil, it's got lead in it, and I've even offered something a little bit extra to tell you when or how it's used. Do you have to go that full step? Not really. Does it help? Sure, if you've got the time. Okay. You want to consider your other command words. Describe. With describe, you're going to give a specific meaning for the word or concept. So technically what I just did when I said this is a writing utensil with lead in it, that's often used in math classes because you can erase it if you make a mistake, that's more of a describe. But that's fine, as long as I've told what it is. That also means that describe includes a definition inside its answer. You're going to give me meaning. You're going to give me a concept. You're going to make it important to the person reading. Tell me why it's relevant. Okay. The next step from that would be to explain. That is over here. Explain is going to go even further. It's going to tell me about relationships. It's going to tell about patterns, positioning, outcomes. It's going to tell me more. Okay. So take that description I have of my pencil. How could I expand that? Could I get more information? People like mechanical pencils because if you run out of lead, you can take the end off and you can refill it and reuse it. So there's less garbage in landfills. They like it because you don't have to keep sharpening it and risk having to get up in the middle of class to sharpen it. Mechanical pencils are great because, notice the word because is in there. You have to tell me why. You have to tell me how something is relevant. Okay. Hope you guys have the difference now between describe and explain. Describe just gives me a rough overview. Explain tells me much, much more detail, much more in depth. The last one you want to be concerned with is compare. Compare is when I have to provide a description or similarities and differences. So in our original one, I asked you to compare frozen yogurt and ice cream. We know that frozen yogurt and ice cream are both made out of dairy products. We know they both have sweeteners and flavorings in them. However, notice the word use, ice cream is usually a hard serve, whereas frozen yogurt is always soft serve. Many people with ice cream will put their toppings in it and mix them, or sometimes put them on top, whereas frozen yogurt always has the toppings added afterwards because it is a soft serve product and the stuff mixed inside would get stuck in the machine. So you can hear that there's a difference between the two. Keep that in mind. As you're writing, keep your sentences simple. Use your appropriate vocabulary and terminology. If you make a mistake, that's just fine. Everybody makes mistakes. Simply cross the mistake out and keep on writing, because anything that's crossed out, we're not allowed to read. Not allowed to read. There you go. Remember to use words like next, first, because, however, such as. Use your connecting words. Make it clear that you understand how concepts fit together. That's what we're looking for as readers. Okay. If you are not sure how to do it, use the fill in the blank template. They are boring to read as a reader. They're boring to write, but they're efficient. My answer is because of, such as when. This is a good example because. Okay. This works really, really well when you're writing because you know automatically what you need to write next, what you need to fill in next, and what needs to happen next in order to answer a question completely. Okay. When finished with the first question, go to the second one. When finished with the second, go to the third. When you're done, go back to the beginning, go back to the start. Reread the question, reread your answer. Underline where you think you've explicitly answered the question. If you see something that you're reading it to yourself and going, what was I thinking? Well, the reader won't know what you were thinking either. So go back and add an extra sentence in if you need to. It's for this reason I recommend that you leave a blank or two between each of your answers. So if you answer A, skip a couple lines, then answer B, skip a couple lines. This gives you room to go back and fill information in as needed. Okay. On the day of the test, Make sure you use your strongest examples first. If it asks for one reason, you give the absolute best, most perfect reason you can think of. Do not shotgun it. Do not throw a whole bunch of answers on the paper, because as soon as the reader sees a wrong answer, they stop reading. They're not going to keep looking and say, oh, look, their third one was correct. I'll take it. We don't get to do that, okay? Make sure your best answer, your strongest answer is always the one you use, okay? Remember that we give you points, you earn points. We do not take them away. So we're looking to see where things were done, where they're correct, and how it all works. So a quick example that we did not use in class. This is a question from several years ago. You will notice there is a chart and it has information. As a student, I would look at this chart and I would say, okay, it's population 65 or older, 2000 to 2050. So here's what it is in 2000. Here's what it's projected in 2050. Here is the change. What percent change do I have? Okay, I look at my countries and I say I've got Belgium, Denmark, Japan, Russian Federation, Ukraine, and the UK. What is everything I know about those countries? What do they have in common? Well, I know they're all more developed countries. And I know a couple of these are stage 5 countries, and some are stage 4, but they're pretty close. All right, what else do I know? And I would think of all those things and I'd be writing them all on my paper as fast as I could. Okay, then it says, identify and explain 2 reasons the average population age is increasing in developed countries. Okay, I know that when I think about, and I'm going to get out my pen here. Ooh, let's write an obnoxious pink because we can. I know that if I'm looking at ages, I'm also thinking about the DTM. Remember, I was just talking about that one a minute ago. I'm going to sketch it real quick. That's not a great picture, but it'll work. I know that this is birth. I know I've got death. I know I've got life expectancy. Yay, that looks awful. Okay, but that's okay. Your notes are allowed to look awful when you're brain barfing. They don't have to be neat. They don't have to be organized. They don't have to be perfect. And they are not full sentences. They're just ideas thrown on the page. Okay, 2 reasons the population age is increasing. Well, what would cause population age to increase? Well, let's see. People are going to live longer. That's one reason population age would increase, right? Hey, wait a minute. Is that the only reason? Well, yeah. That's all I can think of right now. Let's see if I can run with that. Why would people be living longer? Let's see. They could be live longer because of health. Maybe we've got, wow, this is really horrible. Maybe we've got better medicine. Maybe we've got better, I don't know, sanitation. I'm just going to throw all the ideas I can come up with. And again, it doesn't have to look good. This is me drawing with the mouse in pink. Come on, people. So I'm going to throw all those ideas on my page. When I'm done, I'm going to pick which one I think is the best one I want to go with, and that's what I'm going to write about. So what I actually have for you is a sample. Let's first erase all my horrible drawings because, well, they're horrible drawings. Close this out, and let's see what the rubric tells us. Let's see, reduced fertility. Why would that affect age? Oh, if there were fewer people being born and more old people, then my average age is going to shift. Okay, I could talk about that. Life expectancy, that was the big one I knew a lot about. Okay, out-migration of youth. People are moving away. That could probably work too. But we're going to focus on these 2 ideas. I didn't even come up with this first one. I would have talked all about this and probably gotten it wrong. But this question asked for 2, so I at least had a fighting chance. Okay, so when I look at my samples, let's take a look at some variations here. All right, this one says, 1 reason the average population age is increasing in developed countries is because of medical advancements. Having better health care, vaccines, and medical attention when needed is vital to helping people live longer lives. Another reason is better living conditions. Sanitary conditions such as cleaning, drinking water, and proper garbage disposal can help stop the spread of bacteria and other viruses that thrive in unsanitary conditions and kill many people. Do they have 2 clear different ideas here? What I'm seeing when I look at this is I'm seeing they have the live longer lives. That was definitely one of my answers, right? Let's go back and look. Yep, life expectancy, live longer. Okay, that works. Do they give me another reason here? No, I kind of think that here they're talking about people are going to live longer. And up here they're talking about people living longer. So there's only one identified, but I've been asked to explain it. Did they explain why people are living longer? I think they managed that so they'd get the points. Let's take a look. Improved health care, improved lifestyle, food, less conflict, work conditions, public health, financial security, and safety. Yep, they've hit on those, but remember it's explained, which means you have to tell me not only what your answer is, but why it's a good answer. If I come back to this, did they tell me why it was a good answer? Well, I think they did. They said there's better health care, there are vaccines, they're getting medical attentions. Those things are contributing to people living longer. I think they did okay there. They might get at least one of the points. Let's look at another one. Ooh, I should probably erase that, but I'm not sure how to do at this point. Let's go back to annotate, erase. Haha, I got it. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Wow, there's a lot going on here. Let's read it. Population age increases as the product of a lower birth rate and a lower death rate. How's that? Not sure yet. More developed countries are stage 3 or 4 in the DTM and therefore exhibit both the aforementioned qualities. They haven't even answered the question yet, have they? Let's keep going. MDCs are the medical revolution and have access to healthcare. Now we're starting to get something here. Access to healthcare that allows for more people to live longer. They finally are getting to it. Let's see if they support their answer. If a person is sick, they can go to the doctor and get medicine quickly, unlike in LDCs where resources are more likely not readily accessible. Wow, I think they finally got to the point there. I would give it to them. Do we start to see what it means to give a full, complete answer, I hope. If you're still having struggles, let me know. We will continue to work on these in class. We will continue to review and do writing in class, and you will continue to have your FRQ quizzes too. So have a good one. Remember, brain barf, throw those ideas. Pick your favorites, organize, write. Reread to make sure you answered the question, and have a good day.